Hi everyone, lovely to meet you all. I'm Ekaterina Cooper and I'm Senior Impact Manager.
Sarah? Or Habib, you could go next.
Hello, my name is Habib. I am Innovation Manager at GSF, supporting the delivery of the labs. Is Sarah there? If not, I'll hand it over back to you, Joanne.
Yeah, thank you so much, Habib and Katarina. And thank you so much, Cecilia, Joyce, and Geoffrey, uh, for also sharing the organization that you're representing and also greeting us via chat. We'll start the session by sharing a quick agenda of what this session will be all about. As you are all aware, we rolled out call for expression of interest to support organizations within the childcare ecosystem in Tanzania at the beginning of the month. And this session is specifically to give more information about the expression of interest and the bootcamp, and also to answer any question that any of you may have regarding the process to be selected to join the labs, and any other question that you may have even about GSF. Next slide, Habib. So for those that may not necessarily have interacted with us, Global Schools Forum is a collaborative community, an innovation accelerator and partnership builder for non-state organizations in the education sector. And our vision basically is to enable children to realize their full potential through safe access to quality education. Considering that we are a membership organization, we have around 165 organizations within our network across 64 countries. And these organizations work with around 123 million children and 1.36 million schools. Next slide, Habib. Yeah, as I've mentioned before, from the community perspective, our aim is to strengthen and grow our global learning community for non-state actors in education. And basically, we receive application for organizations that would like to join our network, and we provide different kind of support and connections through the networks. Through the Innovation Accelerator, we select a few organizations every other year to join the Innovation Accelerator. And the aim is to test promising solutions within the education sector and diffuse evidence from those organizations of what works or does not work within the education sector. And the third aspect is that we are in system strengthening, where we work with non-state partners and governments to reach underserved communities in order to shape policy and also scale solutions within the education sector. Next slide, Habib. So I'll speak a bit about the Impact at Scale Labs, which falls under our Innovation Accelerator arm. The Impact Accelerator was set up to transform education systems by working with local innovators who are keen on scaling solutions. And we do this by selecting promising solutions. We give them funding of up to $200,000 towards the innovation that they are working on. And then we also provide technical support with the name of building capacity or strengthening their capacity in the areas where they have indicated that they need support. We normally focus a lot on evidence about the outcomes and the scaling process so that we can share that evidence with the larger ecosystem with the aim of helping as many organizations as possible, not go through the challenges that scaling organizations go through. And then we try as much as possible to support organizations also to embed their solutions within the broader system. And these systems could be government systems, it could be community, or it could be private sector. From the time we launched the labs, we have rolled out 3 labs. The first lab was on post-COVID recovery, where we supported organizations within the education sector to recover post-COVID. To date, we have supported around 14 grantees with a direct reach of about 100,000 teachers, learners, caregivers. And within this innovation acceleration, we've raised 6 million worth of support to support these organizations. Next slide, Habib. So the rationale for the Impact at Scale labs early years in East Africa is because 70% of children in East Africa and Southern Africa lack quality access to early childhood care and education. And this is data from UNICEF. And the reason why we set up the labs is because a lot of organizations struggle to access funding to scale their innovation, and especially funding that is flexible. The other reason why we run the Impact at Scale Lab is because there's inadequate support for local innovators. So a lot of them scale without guidance and support in form of partnerships and also technical support. And then the third aspect is that a lot of organizations within this space lack support and guidance to test their program assumptions at an early stage, and they end up replicating the mistakes that maybe other organizations made, and that hinders their growth. And so we provide a platform to not only test your solutions, but also to share actionable evidence and learning. So as I mentioned earlier, we've supported 14 organizations with funding, technical support, and other types of support. The first lab, we brought on board 3 organizations. So that was Dignitas, Ganshala, and Seba. For the early years program in Kenya, we are supporting 4 organizations. That's Jackfruit Finance, and they're into finance for education for non-state actors in education. We have a Lake Region Development Program that supports children from 0 all the way to 18 in different aspects, including child protection. We have Irui, who has been running parenting programs, but also currently running home-based childcare, giving social franchising models. And then Total Care, that also works within the childcare space in the areas of social franchising, partnering with government and private sector to ensure children have enough care and sufficient care that they need. Lab 3 focused on foundational literacy and numeracy, and those are some of the organizations that we took on board. I'm sure you can see one that is from Tanzania. Next slide, Habib. So we started our work in Tanzania at the end of last year, and our approach has been to understand the ecosystem in Tanzania so that we are able to support the organizations in Tanzania in a way that is data-driven. Next slide, Habib. And we conducted a scoping study that is about to be finalized, and the scoping study gave us insights into areas that were proving challenging in scaling childcare. Some of those areas included workforce development, others included standards that are not necessarily practical for childcare, and other areas included support for innovators to scale their solutions. So we were in between whether to offer a full program or whether to offer a boot camp so that we can assess the level of organizations within the Tanzanian ecosystem and then be able to bring them up to speed so that we can launch the lab officially. And that's why you will realize that for the other labs, we've been running 18 months worth of support, but for Tanzania, we are coming in with a almost 3 months offer. And basically the offer is to will help us understand the ecosystem where innovators are concerned, and then be able to package the lab better for you from next year in January. So particularly for the lab, for the bootcamp, what we are offering is scale readiness diagnostic, which is aimed at identifying the strengths, challenges, and growth opportunities for organizations within Tanzania. So through that, we'll be able to provide technical support for around 3 months in terms of workshop, expert support, and one-on-one coaching to help you refine your program model and also to strengthen your pathways for scale. Through the program also, you will have access to GSF's global impact of funders.
Sasa laptop sina nani ina kitu kinaitwa.
Kindly mute Baltazar. Yeah, you'll also have access to GSF's global network. As I mentioned earlier, we are a network of non-state actors, but we also work in collaboration with funders, policymakers, and other technical experts. And we hope that by your engaging in the program, you will be able to enhance your visibility and also unlock collaborative opportunities. You will have an opportunity to learn from your peers and also collaborate with some of them. And then at the end of the bootcamp, we aim that we will have developed a pipeline that we can now support through the labs from next year, January. Habib, next slide. So I'll hand over to my colleague Habib, who will take you through the process of joining the labs and other things that you may have, you may be wanting to find out more. Thank you, Habib.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joanne. So unlike what we have here, yeah, so this is going to be how to join the bootcamp, okay? Which is a subset of the work that we're doing at the labs. So in general, the timeline for this engagement, right, starts with the application process, which we already launched at the end of April. And we're currently having our webinar today, 14 May. So by the end of May, we should expect that you've all submitted your applications by then, and we'll be working on the selection process in June. Subsequently, you'd be engaging in a diagnostic workshop by early July, supporting you to analyze the results of those diagnostics, and afterwards, you'll be transitioned into a workshop where we'd have a highly engaging few days working with you to explore some of the gaps and opportunities for growth within your organization. And then we'll also be supporting right afterwards with some one-on-one coaching, and then you'd also be engaging in some peer learning sessions within the community and amongst yourself subsequently. But yeah, this is an overview of what the whole experience will look like, which is like a small experience, like compared to what you'd potentially explore in the labs, but also in itself an awesome experience for organizations like yours. So yeah, just as I highlighted, we're currently in the stage where you're sharing, where you'll be filling out your forms. At this instance, you should have downloaded your application form, which is the expression of interest form. And yeah, we're happy to take your questions within this webinar on any challenges you might be facing or any clarification you might need regarding the application or the entire program itself. Then yeah, by June, as I mentioned, we go into the review of your applications and then shortlist candidates that we think are most fitting or will benefit the most from the program that we've set on. And then finally, you should be preparing for some interviews at the end of June if you make it through the shortlist. Because of the quick turnaround time, we'll be happy that you keep this timeline in mind because that means you can, once we reach out to you, you can be better prepared to join our sessions where we can then do our final due diligence for you to join the program. Subsequently, we'll announce a finalist, and this often includes sharing your work on our social media pages to our community. And then you'd also then complete some contract signing regarding your engagement at the labs, at the bootcamp. So how do you know if you're qualified to apply for this? The first is every organization can apply in terms of whether you're a GSF member or a non-member. So you do not require to apply for GSF membership to join the bootcamp. Yeah, so anyone can apply now, and you just have to fill out the form for the expression of interest. Because this is Impact at Scale Bootcamp Tanzania, we are only focused on organizations who are currently working in Tanzania and who are locally led in Tanzania, which moves us to the next point. By locally led, we mean your operations are local to Tanzania, and they understand the context that they're operating in, and they're potentially led by there's a significant participation of local expertise in your program. Organization type, it could be an NGO, it could be a private registered organization, basically a for-profit or a non-profit. The models for the labs, we're agnostics about the models that you could be coming in with. But yeah, you could be a non-profit, you could be an NGO, you could be a private registered organization. Beneficiaries. We think you should be targeting children who are in the low or no fee income segment, basically low income communities who are paying you 0 to low fees for your solution. This is ultimately in line with GSF goals of expanding access to education for all children in the world, especially the marginalized communities, or the potential marginalized communities. Finally, the model, your ultimate beneficiaries should be children who are in the range of 0 to 5 years. Yeah, that's the age range for this ECD program. Okay. The innovation type, we'll move on to solution eligibility. So what we've discussed earlier is organizations' eligibility to join the program. So what about the solution that you're delivering? Generally, in terms of innovation type, we are happy to welcome both new and established approaches to improving childcare. This includes social franchising models, inclusive child initiatives, and so on. What stage should you be when you're applying for this? We're generally open to both early stage and growth stage for this particular program. We understand that some of you might be very early and some of you might have spent a lot of years delivering your solution. We're happy to welcome all stages, like all organizations at various stages of your growth. Finally, before I hand over to Ekaterina, we are looking for your full commitment to the program. If you know you'll be able to commit to the program, then go on to apply. If the next few months are going to be extremely busy for you, then you might wait for a later opportunity. But for this particular program, we'll be happy that you are able to fully commit to the program. And that simply means attending the virtual sessions like the diagnostics and the diagnostic support in preparation for the bootcamp, for the physical part of the bootcamp. And secondly, we'd like you to be able to attend the bootcamp in person. If you could remember the date I mentioned, it's like 4th to 8th August. So be sure that you have the capacity to send senior members of your team to the program, to the bootcamp, to the physical bootcamp by early August, and also participate in the diagnostics and pre-physical bootcamp sessions, which are happening online. Yeah, I'm happy to invite Ekaterina, who is our Senior Impact Manager, to talk through the evidence requirement for you to join the session.
Thank you, Habib. As Habib mentioned, we recognize that some of you will be fairly young stage as an organization, others more established. So for the evidence of your solution, we would really like you to be able to demonstrate that your solution is theoretically grounded and that you have a clear plan around your evaluation and evidence. So for that, it would be really great if you have a theory of change that clearly document or demonstrate how your solution helped children to improve their developmental outcomes. It would be really fantastic if you're able to demonstrate that your solution design and deliver as part of the intervention you're running or initiative you're running is grounded in evidence and scientific principles of early childhood research or best practice existing in the field. And of course, you have some initial ideas about what monitoring data and start to collect some monitoring data. And it could be descriptive data, so it doesn't need to be something super technical or complex, but the idea of uptake, engagement, generally user satisfaction or learner satisfaction would be really fantastic. And finally, have a plan how you hoping to measure the impact later. Focusing on the standardized, nationally recognized or regionally recognized standardized developmental tools. So nothing super complex, nothing super technical, but clear plan of evidence, clear theory of change, and some initial ideas in terms of what you're actually hoping to collect and what tools you're planning to use for evaluation, whether your solution actually works. And I will pass it back to Habib. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ekaterina. Yeah, I think this is a good point to mention that if you have any burning questions now, you can start to put them in the chat, and I would respond to them immediately we complete this presentation. Alternatively, if you're more interested in sharing verbally, you could also wait till in a few minutes' time. You can raise your hand, and they will call you to ask questions, and they'll be happy to respond. So, yeah, in terms of the application process, right? Now that you understand or you've checked if you're eligible or not, if you're eligible, then the next bit would be downloading the expression of interest form and read the questions properly and the instructions as well, and then respond to the questions. So once you're done with that, we've advised within the form that you should convert the filled out application form into a PDF before you move on to the final stage. This is to ensure that your information is intact when you're sharing with us, and we're assessing the truest form of your application. Finally, for you to submit, there's then an application portal, which you can see on the right. So you find a link within your application form to the application portal. And this is where you submit your application form, your filled out application form. So again, before submitting your application form, we've directed you to name your form a specific way. This is just to make it easier for us to sort out all your applications. So please check out the application form. You're directed to rename your form, the filled out form in a specific pattern, basically the name of your organization, the program you're submitting for, and the year. and then you move on to the application portal from there. The application portal is fairly straightforward. We're basically collecting information like your name, basically identifying information like your name, your organization, and then you find a section where you can upload the application document that you've just filled out, the PDF form. Yep. And then finally, you help us by filling out a few feedback questions just to help us continue to improve how we are supporting organizations through the labs and through the bootcamp. So once you've clicked on submit, be rest assured that we have received the application form. If you have any doubts, we have an email that you can reach out to, and that's labs at Global Schools Forum. I'm going to share that at the end of the presentation, that you can reach out if you have any doubts on whether we've received the applications or not. But generally, we would have. Finally, in terms of how do we select your based on all the applications that are coming in, GSF generally uses a framework called the DVF skill framework in various forms. But generally, you find the structure in your application form alludes to this. So generally, we're looking through your disability of your solution, the viability of your solution, and the feasibility of your solution in general. So viability, you could also substitute with sustainability as you wish. In area of disability, we're basically just checking based on the evidence and the problem and solution that you're working on, that your solution actually works for the context that you're working in. And then secondly, do you have the data, some data to back some of what you're doing? In terms of viability or sustainability, we're checking out if you're potentially sustainable as an organization, right? Are you like, what's your cost like? What's your revenue like? How are you keeping the program running? We want to be sure that to some extent, you're able to sustain the program throughout the time that we are supporting you and afterwards. And secondly, we're checking finally feasibility. What members of your team are working on this? What kind of partnerships are you is supporting your work here? Because generally we think that organizations that are looking to deliver a lot of impact have to have the right strength internally and potentially externally to deliver their solutions. So this is like a broad explanation of the DVF. It's a lot more deeper than this, but for the context in which we are working with you as early stage organizations potentially, we're also looking at this in a very light way, that you fulfill some of this component, not all of this. So don't be scared by all the components that you're seeing here. You realize that your form is fairly simple, and so we're looking to support you at this early stage. So yeah, absolutely, you don't have to have all this fully in place. Even organizations that come through the labs are trying to bridge some of these gaps. So, but this is potentially a good way for you to continue to check how you are growing as an organization. But I'll leave that to the diagnostics when you come into the program. So yeah, that's generally it. This is a good time for you to ask questions. Just as I mentioned, the email to reach out to at any point in time that you have any questions for us is labs@globalschoolsforum.org. We're happy to respond to your questions and provide any guidance that you need to move forward. Thank you. I'll stop sharing now so we can have time for questions.
Thank you, Habib. Thank you, Ekaterina. I can start off with a question that was asked by Cecilia in the chat, whether the bootcamp will be held in August virtually. I've responded and said it will be held in Tanzania in person. So any other question at this point is welcome. We also speak Swahili, so if you want to express yourself in Swahili, feel free.
Yeah, hello everyone. I have a question. My question is, since you are considering the early stage organizations, do you also consider the revenue generated from these organizations? Yeah, that's my question. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We can take 3 or 4 questions, then we answer. Any comment if there is no question?
Maybe just one from me. It is important for us also to understand the implementation period that you are focusing on for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. Christian, I'd seen you had unmuted. You have anything?
Yeah, thank you for good presentation. Naomba niulize kwa Kiswahili. Kwa mikoa ipi kwa Tanzania hiyo program imeelekezwa sana? Kwa hiyo kipaumbele cha mikoa kwa Tanzania ningependa kufahamu hilo. Thank you.
Asante, Christian. Thank you. Yeah, so maybe we can take the first 3. Habib, because you really explained the implementation period well, so I'll leave you to explain that one. On the organizations that we take on board, Vincent, you asked whether we consider whether they are revenue generating organization. Yes, to a larger degree, because at least we need to see that you have been operating in your own context. It could be very early stage, but at least you are generating some revenue. And we understand that most of you are donor funded. So it could be that you have raised some initial funding, or if you are running a non-for-profit, then you've at least generated some initial revenue from your childcare operations. Kwa Christian, kuhusu mikoa, we have launched in Tanzania as a whole. So the program is not necessarily specific for any region. It is basically a countrywide program. So we will accept expression of interest from anywhere in the country, because at the end of the day, when we have the offsite boot camp, it will be held in one of the regions. Habib, on the question of implementation, maybe just reiterating the timelines again.
Yeah, so the timelines, the entire program, right, is running between July and September. So the first, if you're selected, we'll be announcing your selection by 25th June or end of June. And then afterwards, we'll be joining a workshop, basically an onboarding workshop by 26th June or thereabout. And the engagement therein would be virtual for the first few weeks for all of July. You'd have virtual engagements, which are generally focused on diagnosing your organization and through our diagnostic tool and resources, and to help you understand what gaps exist within your organization as you're trying to scale your solution or even deliver your solution at your level. So so there's a part where you get to complete the diagnostic tool by yourself. We're going to give you about 2 weeks to do that. And then afterwards, you have a post-diagnostic call, basically some sort of one-on-one advisory support where you can then explore the results of your diagnosis, right? And afterwards, we would then, by August, right, that's when you then come in for the physical workshops. So the implementation basically ends by end of September or middle to end of September, where you're engaging in peer learning sessions, and you could consistently join other GSF events, but active engagement for this bootcamp would be closing out by mid to late September. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Cecilia says yes. Thank you for that, Cecilia. I've seen some questions on chat from Johanna, and Johanna is asking, how does a funding body measure the impact of bootcamp training on the organization? So I'll let either Sarah or Ekaterina address that, but just to clarify, for the bootcamp, for all the other labs we've held, lab 1, lab 2, lab 3, they had funding up to 100,000 US dollars. But for the bootcamp in Tanzania, we have said that we are using it to build a pipeline of organizations that we can go on to take to the lab. So for this particular round, there will not necessarily be any funding, but we will use it as an opportunity to shortlist organizations to support when we roll out the lab. I hope, Johanna, I have been clear on the funding aspect. Ekaterina, Sarah, maybe you can answer the first question on the chat from Johanna, and then also maybe the second question, because all of them are sort of male related.
Sorry, John, did you want me to reply in the chat?
No, just, yeah, sorry.
So the first about the impact, there would be a number of monitoring questions and forms that we would ask organizations to complete, but it will be fairly light touch, as Joanne pointed out, that it would be a much shorter program compared to the full-on labs experience. So there would be some indicators that we would be interested in to learn more about organizations' progress, and with mostly emphasis on your perspective and sharing some qualitative experiences as well. How do you sustain long-term skills gain from the bootcamp? I think it's very case by case organizations. From our experience, implementation of skills and developing a plan, how the skills and the learnings and insights from the bootcamp or from the Impact at Scale labs into the process and plans, the operational plans that you have in your organization are the most effective ones. Sarah, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think that's comprehensive, Katarina. I'm seeing other hands up from Cecilia, Omar, and Vincent. Maybe we can give this chance to Omar, considering that he has not asked any question before. Go ahead, Omar.
Okay, thank you for this. I was just trying to ask that the bootcamp training basically it depends on education support or health support, because we know low income countries, especially in Tanzania, also faces a huge problem in health sector, also to education sector. So I just need someone to clarify me. Does it rely on both health and education or only education? Thank you.
Thank you, Omar. As you're aware, childcare is not just about education. Childcare has many aspects in it. If you reference the nurturing care framework, it has components to do with education, it has components to do with health, it has components to do with play, among other areas. So when you are looking at the child, we are looking at the child holistically. So solutions that are contributing to the holistic development of the child will be most welcome. Vincent?
Yeah, thank you. I have a question regarding the models which you mentioned in the document, and I am interested on social franchised model. Could you clarify it a bit more? Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. I think that was just one of the models. So when we did the landscape, the scoping study in Tanzania, we found out that social franchising is just one of those. There are organizations like BRAC and children in Crossfire that run such models, but at a higher level. So it could be that you are running, your childcare model is focused on growing either women or men caregivers, basically, who are supporting children either from their homes or from centers, but you as the organization, you're providing support to multiple organizations. So you are the organization that is basically supporting different childcare providers with either standards, with training, or with other kind of infrastructure support so that they can deliver childcare at a higher quality. But we've also seen that there are models to do with the ECD corners. There are other models that are around setting up childcare facilities within markets. There are organizations that are basically focused around training either caregivers so that they can enhance their quality of service. So there are different models. So we are not necessarily saying that we are looking for social franchising models only, but any other model, as long as you're working with children, share your model, share how it works, and then we see how it goes, because we are in it also to learn what other models are working in Tanzania. So we are not coming in to say that we know all the models. Cecilia?
Thank you, John. My additional question is on the solution type. I know there is multiple. Are we allowed to choose more than one or just one?
I think depending on what your organization is focused on. So you will find that some organizations have multiple solutions. They're providing multiple solutions around childcare. So just feel free to express yourself so that you are able to just understand what your model is. If you are selected, then we may end up supporting you to focus on the model that you need to grow the most or to scale the most that would impact children at scale.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Question in the chat as well about the years of operations.
Habib, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, because we've mentioned that it could be early stage. Generally, what would be nice that you started over a year from now. Between 1 to 3 years would be a good start. But yeah, that's I think that's the ballpark of the organizations that come into the bootcamp and the lab. So yeah, as early as 1 year old, and then and upwards. There's no higher limit basically.
Yeah,
But just ensure you have some traction, basically. When we say traction, some evidence that your solution works. But I don't know, Ekaterina, if you have a limit to the time that the that data has been collected.
No, not on the MEL side. I think your guidance is fairly aligned with expectations on the evidence side.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you both. And I've also seen on the question on where will it be done. So we are still exploring whether to have it in Dodoma or Dar es Salaam. We will definitely communicate, especially to those that will have been selected. We have another 9 minutes if you have any other question. If not, then we'll be happy to save you 8 or so minutes of your time. Great. Habib, I'll hand it over to you to close the session.
Thank
Hello.
you.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. There is
Go
a
ahead.
question in the box. Do you consider how many years of like working experience for the people who are applying? Like they have to have like experience of maybe 2 years or starting from 3 years, or you don't consider that?
Yeah, I think that's what Habib had answered earlier. And we said, as long as you've been in operation for at least a year, and we consider early stage to be around 1 to 3 years. Does that answer your question? Good, Habib, over to you.
Yeah, there's not much. There's little left to say. But thank you so much for joining this session. We are looking forward to your applications and very keen to learn from you as well over the next few months. Rest assured that if you need some insight into organizations that we're currently supporting, you can find that on our website, especially with the ECD organizations in Kenya. You'd also find the link on the page where you have the application information. But generally, you don't necessarily need to be at that level. You could be further along the journey. You could be earlier in the journey. We're very keen to explore how you're working in Tanzania. So please don't be shy to apply. Don't cut yourself out of the race before you you make a move. So yeah, we're looking forward to your application. If you have any questions at any point, reach out to us via email, via the labs at globalskillsforum.org. You'd also find this email in your application form and on the website. And we'd also be sharing this recording on back to the website, potentially by next week, so that you can have you can always recap what we've said on this call. Thank you so much, and thank you to Katrina, to Sarah, to Joanne for all their support, and the rest of our team who has made this possible but can't be here at this time. Have a great evening.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.